I got my daughter a hotel room entirely for herself after her stepsisters made her sleep on the floor. So my daughter Emma is 15, and I've been remarried to my wife Jessica for about 3 years now. Jessica has 2 daughters from her previous marriage, Katie, who's 17, and Megan, who's 16. We were planning this family vacation to Orlando for spring break, and I thought it would be a good bonding opportunity for all the girls. The hotel had these family suites with 2 bedrooms and a pull-out couch in the living area. I figured the 3 girls could share one room with 2 beds, and Jessica and I would take the other. Simple enough, right? Wrong. The first night, I'm getting ready for bed around 10:30 when I hear this commotion from the girls' room. I walk over and knock on the door asking if everything's okay. Katie opens it just a crack and says they're fine, just figuring out sleeping arrangements. I could see Emma in the background sitting on the floor next to her suitcase looking miserable. I asked what was going on, and Katie starts explaining how she and Megan both have back problems and need the beds. She says Emma's young and flexible, so the floor would be fine for her. I look past Katie and see Emma has already made herself a little nest with the spare comforter on the hard carpet between the beds. I told Katie that wasn't happening and that they needed to figure out a fair way to share. She gets this attitude and says Emma's not even her real sister, so why should she give up her comfort? Megan chimes in from behind her saying Emma's dad can deal with it if he doesn't like their arrangement. Jessica comes over at this point asking what's wrong. When I explain the situation, she just kind of shrugs and says the girls worked it out themselves. She suggests maybe Emma could sleep on the pull-out couch in the living room if the floor is too uncomfortable. I'm standing there thinking this is insane. My daughter is being treated like some kind of unwanted guest in what's supposed to be a family vacation. Emma's just sitting there quietly, not wanting to cause drama, which honestly made me even angrier. I told everyone to hold on and went back to my room to grab my phone. I pulled up the hotel booking app and reserved Emma her own room right there on the spot. Cost me an extra $250 for the 3 nights, but I didn't care. When I came back and announced Emma was getting her own room, you should have seen the looks on Katie and Megan's faces. They suddenly started backtracking, saying they could make space, that they were just joking around. Jessica looked annoyed and said I was being dramatic and wasting money, but Emma's face just lit up. She started packing her stuff immediately, practically bouncing with excitement. When we got to her room down the hall, she hugged me so tight and said it was like having her own apartment for the first time ever. The next morning at breakfast, Katie and Megan were giving Emma the cold shoulder, making little comments about how she thinks she's too good to share a room now. Jessica kept making passive-aggressive remarks about the unnecessary expense and how I was creating division in the family. But Emma was glowing. She told me she'd never slept so well that she ordered room service for the first time and had taken like 6 different selfies in her room to send to her friends back home. She said it felt like being treated like an actual person instead of an inconvenience. The rest of the vacation was honestly better with Emma having her own space. She could retreat when the stepsisters got catty, and I could check on her without Jessica hovering around making excuses for her daughter's behavior. When we got home, Jessica was still mad about the money and said I was spoiling Emma and teaching her she could get whatever she wanted by playing victim. I told her that making sure my daughter isn't sleeping on floors isn't spoiling her. It's basic parenting. That spring break trip to Orlando was supposed to bring my family closer, but instead, it revealed just how deep the cracks really ran. I had imagined laughter, photos by the pool, and maybe even a rare moment where my daughter Emma felt included by her stepsisters, Katie and Megan. But what I got was a painful reminder that blood and love don't always mix as easily as I'd hoped. When I saw Emma sitting on that hotel room floor, surrounded by her suitcase, trying to make herself small so nobody would notice her pain, it broke something inside me. She wasn't complaining, not even when the carpet left faint marks on her arms. That quiet acceptance, the way she just folded herself into discomfort so no one else would have to, it reminded me of every time I'd told her to just try to get along. When she came to me about the little cruelties from Jessica's girls, Katie had that same smug confidence her mother did when she thought she had the upper hand. "We both have back problems," she said like she was reading from a doctor's note. Megan nodded along, arms crossed, watching me with that teenage defiance that screamed, "You can't make me care." And Jessica just stood there, shrugging like it wasn't her problem. "They worked it out themselves," she said, as if that made it okay. I wanted to yell. Instead, I just took a deep breath and did what a father should do. I opened my phone, made that extra booking, and handed Emma a key to her own room. It wasn't just a hotel room, it was a message. You matter. You deserve comfort. You're not less than anyone else here. The way her face changed when I told her. I'll never forget it. The tears in her eyes, the smile fighting its way past disbelief. She hugged me so tight I could feel her heart racing. Thank you, Dad, she whispered. Like I'd done something extraordinary when really, I'd just done what I should have done long ago. Protected her from people who made her feel small. That night, while Jessica muttered about wasting money and her daughters pouted, Emma sent me a picture from her new room. She was grinning, sitting cross-legged on her bed with room service trays around her, TV remote in hand. The text said, "Best night ever. Feels like my own little world." And maybe that's what she needed, a little world where she could breathe without feeling like a burden. The rest of the trip, Jessica barely spoke to me. She said I was teaching Emma to play victim, but I knew better. I wasn't spoiling my daughter. I was showing her that love doesn't mean sleeping on the floor while everyone else gets a bed. It means standing up for yourself and having someone in your corner who won't let you be treated like less. When we got back home, the silence between Jessica and me felt heavy, but I didn't regret a thing. Emma smiled more that week than I'd seen in months. And if $250 bought her peace, dignity, and the memory that her dad chose her when others didn't, then that's the best money I've ever spent. Because sometimes, being a good parent isn't about keeping the peace. It's about breaking it when peace means your child has to sleep on the floor. Story. After 15 years of raising them like my own, they grabbed the mic at graduation and said, "We want to thank our real dad. Not the loser who just paid the bills." I smiled. The next day, their college fund, which I saved for 5 years, was gone. And who I gave it to left their mother, begging me in front of everyone. Chapter 1, The Graduation Bombshell. For 15 years, I was dad, not stepdad, not mom's husband, just dad. I taught them how to swim. I packed their lunches, sat front row at every school play, even the ones where they forgot their lines or just waved at the audience awkwardly. I stayed up during asthma attacks and bad dreams. I handled math homework and broken hearts. And yes, I paid for everything from braces to ballet classes, from soccer cleat to every family vacation. Their biological father, he vanished before their youngest turned 3. A few birthday cards here and there, signed sloppily with a name they barely recognized, but I never made it a competition. I never needed the credit. I just wanted to be their father. That was until the graduation. The auditorium was packed, families cheering, caps flying. The principal handed the mic to the twins, Mia and Ryan, the kids I raised like they were my own flesh and blood. They had earned valedictorian and co-salutatorian. I stood proudly, camera in hand, beaming. Then Mia stepped up to the podium. "Before we end, we want to thank the most important people in our lives," she began, smiling sweetly. "Our real dad for always being there in spirit and cheering us on even from afar," Ryan chimed in. "And to Mom, you're our rock, our heart. We love you more than words. And thanks to the man who paid the bills, I guess." Laughter. Snickers from her side of the family. My ex-wife, their mother, didn't even look my way. She was too busy dabbing fake tears and nodding proudly like she was the sole architect of their success. I didn't stand. I didn't smile. I just sat there very still as something inside me quietly shattered, then hardened. That night, I poured myself a drink, opened the shared family savings account, and stared at the college fund I'd been building for 5 years. Nearly $120,000. They thought I was just the wallet. Fine. Let's see how far they get without it. Chapter 2. Disbursement and Disrespect. That night, I didn't sleep. Not out of sadness, but clarity. By morning, I had a plan. The first thing I did was pull the college fund. Every cent of it. I closed the 529 plan and rerouted the funds into a private trust I had quietly set up 6 months prior. When I first started noticing the subtle shift in how the kids spoke to me, how my wife stopped defending me, and how whispers of our real dad is coming to visit became more frequent. Then I wrote 2 emails, one to the university's financial office, canceling the tuition payments I had promised to sponsor under my name, and the other to my niece, Abby. She was the daughter of my late sister, a brilliant girl, working 2 part-time jobs while juggling community college and taking care of her younger siblings after her mom's passing. She had always been grateful for even the smallest gestures I made, never asking for more than she needed. I called her that afternoon. "Abby," I said, Check your email and then start looking at four-year universities. Your tuition is covered, all of it. She cried so hard I couldn't even make out her words. That reaction alone reminded me what it felt like to be appreciated. The next day, the fireworks began. Mia was the first to call, then Ryan, then their mother. "Dad, why won't the college accept the payment? Why is the account empty?" I calmly replied, "I figured it was time for your real dad to step up. After all, he deserves the credit, right?" Silence. Then came the screaming, the guilt-tripping, the lectures. My ex-wife showed up at my doorstep in tears. "You can't do this to your children." I opened the door just enough and said quietly, "They made it clear I'm not their father. So, this is me respecting that choice." Then I shut the door. She banged on it for a few more minutes before driving off in her leased BMW, which, by the way, I also stopped making payments on that week. Chapter 3. Reputations, Reversals, and Regret. The morning after I froze their college plans, I expected some chaos. But what I didn't expect was for the chaos to go viral. Apparently, my ex-wife had the bright idea to post about the cruelty of what I did, painting herself and the kids as victims of a spiteful stepdad who backed out at the last minute. But the internet is undefeated when it comes to truth. A bombshell from the comments. Her post on Facebook was shared among friends, family, and the local community. That's when my niece Abby commented something that shattered the entire narrative. "So sorry this happened to you, but I want to thank you for your generosity, Uncle Nate. Because of you, I finally get to attend my dream school. You're a hero to me." That comment exploded. Old friends, co-workers, and even some of my ex's relatives began connecting the dots. People who'd been silent before now spoke up. "Didn't your kids call him a loser at graduation? I thought he raised them like his own." Funny how everyone's memory gets selective when money's involved. My inbox was flooded with screenshots. Her lie had backfired beautifully. The real dad showed his true colors. And as for the real dad, the one they praised on the graduation stage, he ghosted them. Yep. The moment tuition needed to be paid, dorm supplies needed to be bought, and loans needed co-signing, he vanished. No calls, no texts, just silence. Apparently, praising him publicly was all part of a performative stunt. He showed up in their lives for the attention, but had no intention of stepping up when it mattered. My ex's breakdown, public and pitiful. 2 days later, I got a call from a friend who worked at the same salon my ex-wife frequented. She came in sobbing, she said. Blamed everyone but herself. Even said, "Why didn't he at least give me a warning?" But that was the point. She'd made every important decision in our marriage without my voice. She allowed the kids to treat me like an outsider. So now I just gave her the equal silence in return. Chapter 4, Redemption for one, Reality for the rest. The week after the graduation fallout was a whirlwind of finger-pointing, silence, and sudden consequences. The principal's call. 3 days after the social media blow-up, I received an unexpected call from the school principal. "I know it's a lot to ask," she said, "but we'd like to highlight you during our annual Unsung Heroes of the Community Assembly. We believe your story could teach our students something important about integrity, consistency, and unconditional care." At first, I declined. I wasn't looking for applause or pity, but then she added, "We also want to offer a special scholarship to someone of your choosing. In your honor." That stopped me cold. A new beginning for someone who deserved it. I thought about it all day. There were so many people I could have chosen, but in the end, it was obvious. I nominated Maya, the daughter of the janitor at my old company. Maya was brilliant, straight-A student, applied to 5 top colleges, but she was about to give up her dreams because her dad couldn't afford tuition. When she found out, she cried. Her father did too. "You did this?" He asked me, voice cracking, "But why?" I simply said, "Because you raised her right. And that matters more than blood." My ex's public breakdown. That same day, my ex-wife showed up at Maya's school. She created a scene shouting, "How dare you give away our children's future? You owe them." But by then, no one was buying the victim act. The PTA president, a woman who'd once been my ex's closest ally, told her flatly, "Your kids made their choice on that stage. You don't get to come crawling back when the consequences show up." A clip of the encounter was recorded and shared. It spread online like wildfire. The same internet that once held sympathy for her now called her entitled, ungrateful, delusional, the final blow. Later that week, I mailed one final letter to the twins. No threats, no lectures, no insults, just a photo of me and Maya at her new dorm with a note. Some things are earned, not inherited. I may have paid the bills, but I also gave my heart. That's worth something to the right person. Epilogue. The measure of a man. The dust had settled, but the ripples of that graduation day continued long after the final tassel flipped. My house was quiet now. No thewing footsteps, no slamming doors, no bickering over the remote, just peaceful silence and the hum of a life being reclaimed. The unexpected letter. 6 months later, I received a letter. Not an email, not a text, a handwritten letter. It was from Ethan, one of the twins, the quieter one, the one who never looked me in the eyes after that speech. I don't know if this means anything, he wrote. But I've had time to think. Mom always said you were just a provider. But when I look back, you were there always, every game, every night I got sick. Every broken heart I didn't want to talk about, but you noticed anyway. I was stupid. We were ungrateful. I wish I could take it back. It didn't ask for money. It didn't ask for forgiveness. It just acknowledged. And somehow that meant more than anything. Maya's graduation. 1 year later, I stood in the crowd as Maya walked across her college stage. Valedictorian. She saw me in the audience and smiled, giving a small wave. The announcer said, "And special thanks to our community sponsor, Mr. Alex Monroe, for believing in students who believe in themselves." The applause was thunderous, but I stayed seated. I didn't need the spotlight anymore because somewhere in that sea of clapping hands and proud faces, I knew I had made the right choice. Final reflection. Being a parent isn't about DNA. It's about presence. It's about love with no scoreboard. And yes, sometimes it's about walking away from those who never valued you, so you can finally give to those who do. They called me a loser that day, but the real win was choosing peace over pride, purpose over pain, and integrity over ego. And that's a story I'll never regret writing. Drop your verdict below. I read every single one. Hit like if you crave justice and share this story with someone who needs its fire. Subscribe to Revenge Exposed because here betrayals don't sleep. They hunt their owners. Every shadow hides a reckoning. Every mask breaks and every betrayal is answered. Stay sharp.